Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast is new. Our podcast is bold, and truth is our guiding principle. But political correctness is out the door. We will tell it like it is. My name is Ray Tampa, and I'm the host of the Ray Tampa podcast. We have in our studio my co-host, two very talented and intelligent gentlemen, Mr. Russell Cato and Mr. Jamie Wilson III. Today, we're going to discuss the ridiculousness of our governor, Ron DeSantis. What I'm going to do is read an article that I wrote. And after reading the article, my co-host and I will engage in a very lively, very healthy discussion about the article. The title of the article is, "Our Governor is, quote, mentally broke," end of quote. There is nothing of value in his head. Here's the article. From the moment Ron DeSantis joined the race for governor in 2015, it seemed apparent that this guy was, quote, special, end of quote. It appeared that he had something about him that just wasn't right. He caused people to notice how abnormal it was for a grown man to be so enamored with the mere existence of another man, in the sense that some might say his nose was buried up Trump's rear end. Governor DeSantis has given his critics many reasons to suggest he is crazy, deranged, a lunatic, a fool, an idiot, and simply ignorant. Some might say, quote, yes, he is all of that and more. If so, how could he have possibly won re-election by such a large margin? Well, we can list a few ideas such as gerrymandering, voter suppression, voter intimidation, buying voter support, using COVID vaccines to generate support, receiving strong financial support from a very large base of other races, and blind loyalty from a group of legislative lapdogs. For the most part, this is called cheating. Nevertheless, he is Governor Brain Dead for the next 4 years. Governor DeSantis has repeatedly yelled, "Stop woke this, stop woke that." 2, he proudly says that Florida is where woke comes to die. Woke, 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 says DeSantis. What we need to say is broke, 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 due to DeSantis's mental account being depleted. Recent local, state, and national news accounts report that DeSantis and his Department of Education have denied the inclusion of an African-American course. Well, actually, the inclusion of an advanced placement course in African-American history in Florida schools. Specifically, he says such a course is illegal and lacks any educational value. This clearly supports the notion that DeSantis is mentally challenged, mentally broke, if you will. African Americans have made so many contributions to the development of this country that one course And this history would be insufficient. Knowing this history lends itself to appreciating this history, which in turn demonstrates the immense value of the history. This holds true for any culture or ethnicity. It is simply mind-boggling that the governor of a state would so boldly state that a large segment of that state's population lacks relevance or historical value. This and this alone justifies all of the descriptions mentioned earlier about DeSantis. Unfortunately, DeSantis, in the minds of many, loves being called a racist and so many other derogatory names. It plays to his base of support, and he wears it as a badge of honor. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Thank you. All right. I'm going to ask my co-host to let's tackle this subject of DeSantis denying the Department of Education and the schools in Florida from teaching advanced placement African-American history. What you say, Russ?
You know what, Ray? When I listen at this and I read your article, and I go back to the MLK speech in Memphis, you know this will be wiped out, totally wiped out under him, that you will not ever hear this kind of speech or something like this.
Correct.
So what I'm saying, if you just take everything out of proportion, take Black history out, period, and just let's put this one speech in. Just him, just that speech Martin Luther King made at Memphis.
Right.
That will be totally wiped out. And I said to people, just common sense. Just look at it. You see what we got to understand? There are two things here that I think DeSantis is fighting. And you said it in one of your paragraphs here, that one of the main reasons we got this is that this state population lacks some information on this. You said that.
Yes.
That's exactly what you said. That's a big hurt right away. He's dealing with these kind of people.
Yes.
You understand that, right?
Yes.
That's what it's all about. And when you look at, there's another thing I want all of you to go back and look at. There's a college in Michigan called Hilliard State College. I want you to go and find it.
In Michigan.
In Michigan. It's a small private institution.
Hillsdale.
My fault.
Hillsdale.
This is where DeSantis is taking a lot of his stuff from.
We mentioned that in a previous podcast, Russ. We talked about that extensively because he has utilized the services of that college here in Florida during workshops.
Yeah. But you know what that college does? They whitewash the teaching of American history.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And slavery is American history.
That's right.
It happened here. It's American history. And that is the problem. DeSantis is showing us just what he is.
Oh, who he is.
Yeah, who he is. What he is.
Well, actually, you're right. What he is and who he is.
Yeah, he really is. So it's no secret. And if he does become president, this is gonna be a national thing. He's already saying, don't say gay. Then it'll be, don't say Black, or don't say people of color, or don't say, he wants to, again, it goes back to erasing our history, making us feel like we have no contribution in the growth of America. And that feeling that these kids growing up, not knowing, like 10 years from now, if he continues with this, 10 years from now, our kids won't really know unless we're teaching them at home.
Yeah.
Therein lies, like, I mean, you're attacking colleges now. I mean, this is our history. They talk about everything else. They talk about everything else in history. And it goes back to oh, you don't want the kids feeling sorry. Well, it happened. It happened.
The white kids.
Yeah.
didn't want
The white kid.
kids.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
white kid.
Okay, let me be clear. The white
Yeah.
kid. But it happened. You know, if anybody, we should be angry. We're not doing school shootings because of what happened with slavery or anything like that. We're not doing anything crazy. We're keeping it moving. And we know that we don't blame people from what happened in the past, only if you're trying to repeat what happened in the past. Hence the racists that want to keep it, they want to bring the South back to the good old days, as they like to say. And that's what we're fighting. Again, when you're reading this woke stuff, his whole campaign against woke, just, I think one of you said it one time, replace the word woke with black and see what you get.
Yeah.
Well, good points, both of you. I think often about these teachers in the schools, or the public schools that is, as well as on the university and college level, who have degrees in African-American history, and they're teaching African-American history. I think about these people and I want to know, how are they thinking with this governor attacking their education, saying that it has no value? They went to school, got PhD degrees, and now a stupid, ignorant governor is suggesting that their degrees have no value.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's what you got to understand too about this kind of stuff. If you look at the Magna Carta, Republican Party under Trump, there are two things that they push, and they push it strong. Perception. They push that very strong. And then once you get beyond that perception, I'm going to create some theories.
Right.
You see? And that's what they do. For instance, and you said in when you were reading, this guy said that he's taking this course away because it's illegal and lack any educational value. Now, isn't that something? Isn't that some common sense? Come on, Jimmy.
It's a lie. Like I said, it's many ways to tell a lie.
Yeah.
You know,
Russ, you and I both were history teachers,
Yeah.
social studies history teachers. I know I take personal offense to this ridiculousness.
I do.
And I wanted to try and interview an individual here in St. Petersburg that was one of the first at Clark College to graduate with a degree in African-American studies. And he taught on the college level that course. I wanted to talk to him before we came to this interview to see what he might have to say about the governor making his stupid statement. But there's so much about this issue that we can just slap to the curb when he talks about lacks educational value. DeSantis, listen to this. The next time you pull up to a traffic light to keep from having a car accident, to keep from having a semi-tractor trailer ram you in the side, thank the person who developed that traffic light. A black man. Stupid clown.
He is a clown.
DeSantis, you were in the military. You're aware that many of those soldiers were injured out on the battlefield and they needed blood plasma and it had to come refrigerated. Next time you think along those lines, think that it was a black man that created the refrigeration to keep that blood plasma sufficient. Good. DeSantis, well, I can go on and on and on. There is so much that we've contributed to the history of this country that, well, he wouldn't know.
No,
he wouldn't know because he was too busy learning hatred. He was too busy learning discrimination. He was too busy learning prejudice at Harvard and Yale. Those are the schools he got those fake degrees. I bet you those schools are just
Made up.
hating the fact that he's saying he graduated from their institutions. What a stupid ass.
Yeah.
You know, when you take a population and you talk about excluding from understanding, excluding from being aware of something, something is wrong. And that's what this man is saying. I don't want you to be aware of this kind of stuff. I don't even want you to study this.
Right. It's systematic racism, and
That's
that is what. Come on, DeSantis has an idea of Black contributions.
Yeah.
He don't want to talk about it.
No.
That and those Black contributions in America is going to be part of the whole getting rid of the CRT. That he knows what he's doing. He's just trying to erase all of that.
Yeah.
We will not let one man or group of men like him
No.
erase our history.
Right.
It just won't happen.
And that's what he's trying to
That's
do.
what he's
Well, you can try,
Yeah.
but it's not going to happen.
Right.
But I am disturbed over the fact, Jay, you've mentioned this, that there doesn't seem to be any outrage.
Right.
No,
No
no.
outrage
There
at all.
doesn't seem to be any
Yeah.
pushback.
No.
Taking it. Just
Man,
everybody wants to be politically correct. They don't want to, I mean, there's this one guy, Newsweek spoke of this, Jason Nichols. He's a senior lecturer in African-American studies at University of Maryland. And he's been saying some things. He's pretty much outraged, and he's kind of put out, things that's just going on in Florida. And he's not from Florida, but just research. Basically this whole Stop Woke Act and the Don't Say Gay thing, that's the start. What these Republicans do, they take itty bitty steps and see what they can get away with. Then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what he's doing. And I still go back to Roe versus Wade. That was a test. They did it. Now the big step is something else. And in Florida alone, which he's also aware of this, and we still have 3 Confederate holidays we shouldn't be celebrating. There shouldn't be no Robert E. Lee High School, which it is. The guy was a pro-slavery guy. And Florida is really being known as ground zero for racism.
Oh, yeah.
Ground
zero.
Yeah, ground zero for racism with the guy that we have. So it's really bad, and it needs to be more of an outcry from not just Black leaders, everybody, because it's wrong.
And Jay, that's a very important point, because no, it shouldn't be outrage just from African Americans.
Right, everybody.
It should be outrage from whites. It should be outrage from Puerto Ricans.
Everybody.
It should be outrage from Venezuelans and everybody, as you're saying.
Right.
And when we speak in terms of outrage, we should be marching in the streets.
Exactly.
We should be sending letters to the stupid lapdog legislators, because that's where his strength is.
Right.
Because if he goes there and say, achoo, and then he decides, I want to ban people sneezing in the legislature, and they'll write a law for that because he said it. That man is so stupid. And then you got the lapdogs.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about a little more of our history, to put a point, a stamp on the ridiculousness of it. DeSantis, listen to this. When you go sit on the toilet, think that it was a Black person, that came up with the idea of the toilet, invented the toilet. When you go to dry your clothes, DeSantis, it was a Black person that created the system for a clothes dryer. And when you get ready to step on an elevator and the doors open and shut, it was a Black person that created elevator doors. And it's just, we can go on and on and on.
Listen.
But he doesn't want our kids to know this history.
Right.
There's
so many. Yeah, it's a reason. It's to keep, he wants us literally in the dark. I mean, even simple stuff. Black inventors did paper, invented the game of chess, the alphabet, medicine, serving trays, walkers, like serving tray walkers, airplane propellers, coin changers. I mean, that's just a little, that's unimportant. Well, it is important, but we've done so much bigger. Was it brain surgery or heart surgery or something like that? I mean, it's a lot of stuff out there that we've done. I mean, and this is in the infancy of America. It goes way back when it was when we couldn't get patents. You know, when we couldn't get them. So the slave masters took credit for everything. So I bet if we went back and really looked and dug, we will find that there's a hell of a lot more has been invented by us.
Oh God,
Hell of a lot.
advanced placement would point these things out.
But it's
Because one last thing, Russ, something as simple as the golf tee.
right.
The golf.
You tee up the golf ball, the golf tee,
Mhm.
invented by a Black man.
Anything.
And this particular individual became the first Black professor at Harvard University. His name was George Grant. But we don't have to try and justify history for that stupid man because he doesn't care. We can talk facts all day long. Goes to perception. He knows these.
He knows
he
this
doesn't
stuff.
know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. I'm not going to give him that credit. He doesn't know.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't know. But at the same time, we as a people, not just Blacks,
Everybody.
but we as a people need to know what's necessary to keep this fool out of a higher office.
We need to push back.
It's a mistake that he became reelected, but we know that he cheated. And I gave all these examples how he cheated.
Party lines moving.
And you know what, you're so right, Ray, but when you look at all this, all about Black history, white folks know this. They know.
They know this.
They know.
Yeah.
But the point what DeSantis is trying to get across to his white base, he is saying that this doctrine teaches hate. He's trying to put that in. Because what he's trying to say, when the white kid go home to his parents, he don't want any conflict there. He don't want the parent and that white kid to have any arguments, period. He's scared of it. See, there are two words you got to look at here. Victim and the oppressor. Who is the oppressor? Who is the victim? He wants the white people to be the victim. He wants the family to understand, you guys are the victim. And history don't say that. You guys are the oppressors.
Not the Black people that were the slaves getting the hell beat out of them.
Be victims. I'm just
Right. I got you. I got you.
See, that's what he don't want.
So
If you ever notice Trump, everything he's the victim. That's Magna.
yeah.
Look at Magna. We are the victim. Let's go back to two words: white privilege, white supremacy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with, the white supremacy part. And and that's their tactic to basically erase history, to marginalize, you know, and these kids, I mean, it's like growing up seeing your first Black superhero. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, because everything else growing up was white, Batman and all those guys. So when he take away our leaders or our contribution to America, he's trying to keep that disparity there. That's implanted the way he wants to implant it. And as you grow up,
The Civil War is not over.
basically.
Oh boy. You know, we have man, we can do it for years talking about the glorious history of African Americans and their contributions to this country.
Right.
It's like a mighty flowing river in terms of our contributions. So this man, this crazy man, dumb, ignorant, idiotic man, as I identified in the article, he will never erase that history.
No.
He can't. You know, I started doing some research for Black History Month for a project. that I'm involved in. And in doing research, a lot of the history is local, figures here in our city, locally. And in the parade, Martin Luther King parade last Monday, I was doing some of the announcing of the parade. To be honest with you, I was doing all of it from start to finish. But this guy came over to me. He wanted to make sure that I recognized his group as they passed where I was doing the announcing.
Right.
He was representing the Fred G. Menace Bar Association. And as they passed, because I know history, I was able to talk about Fred G. Menace as they passed by. Fred G. Menace, known as the godfather of Black attorneys here in Pinellas County. He mentored or offered advice to other attorneys such as Frank Peterman Sr. and James Sanderlin, who eventually became the first Black county judge. And they've named the law library up in Clearwater after Fred G. Menace. That's history. And a lot of people don't know. As a matter of fact, Don, manager of the radio station, came up to me, not came up to me, but he mentioned after I left, some lady came up to him to say she wanted to talk to me and congratulate me because I threw out facts that she just didn't know. And she appreciated those facts. That's history.
Right.
That's history.
That's what he wants to erase.
That's what he wants to erase.
That's what he wants to erase.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I have a chance to talk to kids, high school kids, when they come to my center. And it's a pitiful thing, man. They know nothing.
Yeah.
Our Black kids know nothing in this.
They know.
I'm just talking about local people. Just get local people. They know nothing.
That's
The
correct.
Morris Mill, the Menace,
Oh, Lord.
Dr. Spain. I can go on and on with this.
On and on and
Yeah,
on.
yeah. And I'm always saying, I remember telling somebody this. I don't understand why we haven't created on 22nd, I don't care, a wall and just throw the names up there.
Yeah.
Just
Check
throw
out
'em up
Black
there.
history
Yeah,
everywhere.
just throw them up there.
Check out the calendar that's going to be in the weekly Challenger.
Okay.
It should be there tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
Every day in the month of February, we're going to feature a historical figure locally here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a very interesting program, very interesting program. When you mention Morris Milton, he's on the calendar. And it's a whole lot of good historical information. There's a person on that calendar that I had never heard of myself, but during the research, I found out just who she was. Marie Yopp, Y-O-P-P. And she was a nurse, very influential nurse, very influential nurse. But there's a lot more to be said about her. But I want people to check that calendar out. As a matter of fact, as people check that calendar out, they can do some call-ins and respond to some questions about historical facts and win some Berg bucks.
Right.
Berg bucks.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the February calendar because I got a calendar and I want to tell people, I'm not taking anything away from it because that's what needs to be done. But don't only look at February. I can show you every month.
It should be, thank you, not just February. That's I was just getting ready to say. Yeah.
They were a Black person.
Well, I tell you, I was reading something and it was a promotion by T-Mobile.
Yeah.
And they said, well, February can be the starting point to generate the interest in delving into a lasting approach to learning history.
Right.
Well, see, that was the point of college was. People don't understand that in 1938.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
We need to reckon. That's why February is important because the college was.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
But he is saying you got to recognize the importance of what Black people have done for this country.
Yes.
No.
That point right there, we're going to stop on because we're at that point. You better recognize what Black people have done for this country. DeSantis, deranged DeSantis. Okay, gentlemen, we're at the point we have to call it quits. Hate this because it seems like 30 minutes goes by so fast when we're having fun. I want to thank the two of you for this lively discussion. And I want to say to our listening audience, thanks for tuning in. And we ask that you do so each and every Tuesday evening, 5:30 p.m. on 99.1 FM The Bird. Go to the Weekly Challenger and check out some of the articles we have posted. Definitely check them out this month because we have a very important calendar in the Weekly Challenger. And you can also go to YouTube and check out many, if not all, of our podcasts on YouTube. But I'll say this and I'll say it loud. Sponsorships are welcome. Sponsorships are welcome. And having said all of that, good evening.